Her keys unlocked a door in someone else's house. It was late enough that the street had forgotten about traffic. Porch lights glowed in patient rows along the cul-de-sac, each one haloed in a faint mist that hadn't been there earlier. The air held the brittle chill of early spring, cold enough to sting her nose, warm enough that it felt temporary. Somewhere far off, a dog barked once and gave up. She stood on the front step, grocery bag hooked over her wrist, purse sliding down her shoulder. She was already thinking about slipping off her shoes, about the soft indentation in her couch cushion, about the quiet hum of her refrigerator. She didn't look at the door when she slid her key into the lock. The metal teeth scraped, caught, and turned. The deadbolt clicked open with the familiar, muted clunk she heard every night. Her hand paused on the handle. That was wrong. Her house had a stiff lock. It always stuck just before turning, needed a firm twist. She'd meant to fix it for months. This had been smooth, effortless. She glanced up. The wreath on the door wasn't hers. It was similar, woven twigs, a pale ribbon, but the bow was tied differently, looser. The paint on the door was a shade darker than she remembered. The brass numbers were polished to a brighter shine. She stepped back, pulse ticking up. She lived at 31. The number on the door read 31. Her throat tightened. She turned slowly, scanning the quiet street. The same curve in the sidewalk. The same narrow maple tree near the curb. Her car sat exactly where she'd parked it. It was her house. It had to be. Rational explanations lined up neatly in her head. New wreath, fresh paint. Maybe the porch light made everything look off. She pushed the door open. Warm air slipped out to meet her, carrying a scent she couldn't place. Something faintly floral. Not her detergent. Not her candle. The entryway was dim. She always left a lamp on in the living room. She hated coming home to darkness. But tonight the light was lower, softer. Golden instead of white. She stepped inside. The door closed behind her with a gentle click that felt too final. Her shoes pressed into carpet that was the right color but slightly thicker. Plush. Her key dish sat on the side table, except it wasn't her ceramic bowl. This one was wooden, carved with a shallow spiral pattern. Her keys were still in her hand. She didn't remember buying a wooden dish. Her breath slowed, shallow and controlled. People renovated. People changed things. She could have forgotten. The living room opened ahead of her. The layout was correct. Couch against the far wall. Television opposite. Coffee table centered between. But the couch had different pillows. Same shapes, same arrangement, two large, one small in the middle, but the fabric patterns were muted versions of hers. Her bright geometric prints had become pale, almost drained copies. The throw blanket draped over the armrest was folded the way she folded it. Precisely in thirds. Her groceries slipped from her fingers and settled soundlessly on the floor. She hadn't been here before. She was sure of that now. A cold thread unwound down her spine. She took a careful step forward. The house was quiet in the way homes are at night, wood adjusting to temperature, distant ticking from something mechanical. But beneath it was another sound. Faint, rhythmic, like breathing behind a wall. She turned toward the hallway. It stretched exactly as it should. 3 doors on the left, one at the end. Her bedroom would be the second on the right. Her stomach flipped. She moved slowly, as if the air itself might react to sudden motion. The first door on the left stood slightly ajar. A bathroom. The tile inside was the right color but patterned differently, subtly inverted. Light where hers was dark. The mirror over the sink caught her reflection. It lagged, only by a fraction of a second. She blinked. The reflection blinked with her. "You're tired," she told herself. "You walked into the wrong house. Similar model. Same builder. That's all." She reached into her pocket for her phone. It wasn't there. She distinctly remembered sliding it into her coat before getting out of the car. A quiet thump sounded from deeper in the house. Not loud, not sudden. Just the sound of weight shifting. Her throat dried. "Hello?" she called softly. Too softly. The house absorbed the word. She stepped farther down the hall. The temperature dropped by degrees. Not enough to see her breath, but enough that her fingers tingled. The second door on the right, the bedroom. She didn't want to look. She did. The bed sat against the same wall as hers. Same headboard shape. Same navy comforter. On the nightstand sat a lamp she recognized. It was hers. A ceramic base with a hairline crack near the bottom from when she dropped it during a move. The lampshade leaned slightly to the left. She walked in slowly, each step deliberate. The crack was there. Her crack. Her hand hovered over it but didn't touch. That lamp had been in her real bedroom this morning. Her chest tightened, breath catching somewhere high and shallow. On the dresser across the room sat a framed photograph. She knew which one it would be before she got close enough to see. It was the photo of her at the lake last summer. Sunburned shoulders, awkward smile, wind-tangled hair. Except in this version, her smile was smaller, straighter, and someone's hand rested on her shoulder. She didn't remember anyone standing behind her that day. The sound came again, this time unmistakable. A footstep. From the hallway. She froze. Another step followed. Measured. Soft. Matching the rhythm of her own footsteps from moments ago. She swallowed and slowly lifted her right hand. From the hallway, just beyond the doorway, something shifted. A shadow lengthened across the wall. It lifted an arm. Her pulse thundered in her ears. She lowered her hand. The shadow's arm lowered too. It was mimicking her. No, not mimicking. Anticipating. A faint scent drifted into the room. Her shampoo. The exact brand she used. Clean citrus and something synthetic beneath it. Her mind fractured into neat pieces of logic that refused to connect. The house felt occupied in the way a body feels occupied. Aware. She took a step backward. The floorboard creaked under her heel. From the hallway a creak answered. Her breath hitched. She wasn't alone in the pattern of this space. The house had learned her rhythms. The way she shifted weight. The pause before each step. It knew her. A soft exhale brushed the back of her neck. She spun. Nothing. But the bedroom door had opened wider. In the mirror above the dresser, she saw the hallway behind her. And standing there was a figure shaped exactly like her. Same coat. Same posture. Same tension in the shoulders. Its face was turned slightly away, as if it hadn't decided whether to look at her. Slowly, deliberately, it raised a hand. Not to mirror her, but to wave. Her knees nearly buckled. The front door clicked somewhere in the distance. Unlocked. A soft, familiar metallic turn. The sound of keys settling into a wooden dish. Her dish. The figure in the hallway tilted its head, listening. Then it looked at her reflection directly through the mirror. Its expression was calm, patient, as if she were the one who had walked into the wrong house. The overhead light flickered once. In that blink of darkness, she felt something shift in the air, like the house adjusting its grip. When the light steadied, the hallway was empty. The mirror showed only her. Her lamp sat uncracked on the nightstand. The photograph on the dresser showed her alone at the lake. Her heart pounded painfully in the silence. Slowly, she backed toward the bedroom door. The hallway felt narrower now. Longer. From somewhere deeper in the house came the faintest sound of movement. Measured steps retreating toward the front entrance. As if something had decided it was her turn to stay. The temperature continued to drop. She reached the entryway. The wooden key dish was gone. In its place sat her ceramic bowl. Her keys rested inside. But they weren't her keys. The metal was newer, untouched by scratches. She stared at the door. It was closed, locked. From the inside, a soft knock sounded from the other side. 3 slow taps. Patient. Waiting. Her breath fogged faintly in the dim light. The house was quiet again. Settled. As if it had always been this way. And somewhere beyond the door, just out of sight, something stood on her porch in the cold, fitting a familiar key into a familiar lock, practicing the gentle turn. Learning. The fog outside only surrounded her building. She noticed it because the streetlights were wrong. From her seventh-floor window, she could see the length of the block. Rows of convenience stores, vending machines glowing in tidy lines, the distant red blink of a traffic signal at the intersection. The city never really slept. It dimmed, softened, but it never vanished. Except tonight, her building was missing. Not physically. It was there. She was in it. But from the outside, it looked erased. Fog pressed against the glass in a dense, unmoving wall. It clung to the exterior like insulation, thick enough that the parking lot below had disappeared. She couldn't see the entrance canopy, couldn't see the sidewalk. Yet beyond the edge of the fog, the street was perfectly clear. She could see headlights passing, a cyclist gliding through a pool of light. The building across the road stood sharp and intact, its balconies visible, its windows bright. The fog formed a clean perimeter around her complex. A border. She leaned closer to the window. Her breath didn't fog the glass. That bothered her. It was cold near the pane. She could feel the chill radiating off it, but the surface remained perfectly clear on her side. The condensation gathered outside instead, faint streaks forming and sliding down like slow tears. It must be a pocket of low cloud, she thought. Some strange microclimate. The river wasn't far. Weather did strange things near water. Still, it wasn't touching anything else. She moved to the living room window. Same thing. A perfect oval of fog enveloped her building, rising from the ground to somewhere above the roofline. The neighboring structures stood in crisp relief just beyond its edge, as if someone had cut a hole in the night and dropped her building inside it. The hum of her refrigerator felt louder. She checked her phone. No weather alerts. No messages from neighbors. The group chat for the building's tenants was silent. She typed, "Is anyone else seeing this fog?" 3 dots appeared briefly, then vanished. No reply. She told herself not to spiral. It was late. People were asleep. The city sometimes did strange atmospheric tricks. Temperature inversion. Steam from underground vents. She stood there longer than she meant to, watching the fog. It didn't drift. It didn't swirl. It held, as if contained by invisible walls. A flicker of movement in the glass caught her eye. Her reflection. Except, she was standing still. The reflection wasn't. It shifted a fraction of a second after she did, like a delayed video feed. She frowned and lifted a hand. The reflection followed. But behind it, deeper in the glass, something else moved. A darker vertical shape passed across the reflection of her couch. She turned around quickly. Her living room was empty. The lamp glowed softly. The coffee table sat undisturbed, a half-empty mug cooling on its surface. She turned back to the window. The reflection showed her apartment again. Alone. Her pulse began to thud in her ears. It's the fog, she thought. Distorting light. Creating layers. Reflection over reflection. She reached toward the glass. The fog on the other side shifted. Not drifted, shifted. It thickened directly opposite her hand, pressing closer to the pane. The white deepened, condensing into something almost textured. Her fingers hovered a centimeter from the surface. The fog pressed harder. The temperature dropped sharply, enough that she flinched back. The fog loosened. She stood there breathing shallowly, heart racing for a reason she couldn't fully articulate. It reacted. No, that was ridiculous. Air currents respond to temperature differences. Heat from her body near the glass could cause movement. She moved deliberately to the right. The fog followed. Not all of it, just the portion directly outside her window, a denser patch sliding laterally, keeping pace with her. Her throat tightened. From somewhere below, a door opened. She rushed to the bedroom window for a clearer view of the entrance. Through the thinning lower edge of the fog, she saw Mr. Takeda from 3B stepping outside. He wore his usual cardigan, slippers, a plastic bag in one hand, probably heading to the vending machines across the street. He paused under the awning, looking up at the fog with mild confusion. She wanted to shout down to him. Instead, she watched. He stepped forward. The moment he crossed the threshold of the building's exterior lights, the fog swallowed him. Not gradually, instantly. His outline blurred and then vanished as if erased mid-step. The bag hit the ground outside the fog's boundary and remained visible for a few seconds before sliding, slowly, impossibly, backward into the white. She didn't hear a scream, didn't hear footsteps. The street beyond continued as normal. Car passed. A pedestrian checked their phone at the corner. No one reacted. She grabbed her phone and dialed his number from the tenant list. It rang once. Then the sound came from inside her apartment. Soft, muffled. From behind her. She froze. The ringing stopped. A text notification chimed. Unknown number. She stared at the screen. You were thinking about leaving too. Her stomach dropped. She hadn't told anyone that. But she had been thinking it. For weeks now. The lease felt suffocating. The apartment too small. The city too loud. She'd stood in the same spot days ago, imagining packing boxes, walking out, never looking back. Her thumbs trembled over the screen. Who is this? The reply came instantly. You don't like the way the pipes knock at night. You count the seconds between the sounds. Her chest tightened painfully. She did that. Every night. 3 knocks. Pause. 2 knocks. Pause. She'd never mentioned it. The lights in her apartment flickered. Not off, just dimmer, as if the fog were filtering them from the outside. She stepped back from the window. The fog surged forward, flattening against the glass with a heavy, soundless pressure. Her reflection sharpened unnaturally. Behind it, shapes began to gather. Faint at first. Vertical smudges. Indistinct silhouettes. They stood where her furniture should have been. In the reflection, her couch was gone. Her lamp was missing. In their place, fog-filled space. And figures. One of them lifted an arm slowly. Not toward her reflection. Toward her. The glass vibrated faintly under her palm. Her phone buzzed again. You think if you leave quietly, nothing will follow. The fog bulged inward. The window pane bowed slightly, a subtle curve that hadn't been there before. She stumbled backward, heart hammering. Across the apartment, the hallway mirror caught her eye. It showed the fog too. Not outside. Inside. A thin layer creeping along the ceiling. She spun. The air in the living room felt heavier. Colder. The faint scent of damp concrete filled her nose. The gap beneath her front door darkened as mist slipped through, threading along the floor like searching fingers. Her phone chimed once more. You are already inside. The sharp reveal hit her all at once. The building wasn't surrounded. It was contained. The fog wasn't outside her apartment. It was the outside. Everything beyond her walls, the street, the neighboring buildings, were the distant, unreachable things. This was the perimeter. She was in the center. The silhouettes in the window reflection stepped closer, pressing their hands to the other side of the glass. From the hallway came the faint knock of pipes. 3. Pause. 2. The pattern she counted every night. But now it echoed from within the walls themselves, vibrating through the floor. The fog at her door thickened, rising to knee height. It moved with intention, not rushing, waiting. She backed toward the bedroom. The air tasted metallic. Her thoughts felt louder than the room, as if broadcast outward. I don't want this, she thought desperately. The phone vibrated. We know. The fog reached her ankles. Cold seeped through her socks, biting her skin. The silhouettes in the window tilted their heads in unison. The hallway light went out. Darkness pooled, thick and absolute. She had 2 choices. Stay. Or step forward into the white where Mr. Takeda had disappeared. The front door handle turned slowly. Not from the outside. From within, the fog pooled beneath it. She inhaled sharply and took 1 step forward. The mist parted around her shin like water. The temperature equalized suddenly, no longer cold but neutral. Blank. The fog rose to her waist. Her phone slipped from her hand and vanished without a sound. Somewhere deep within the white, a shape moved closer. Not threatening, expectant. She closed her eyes and took another step. Behind her, the apartment walls faded into indistinct outlines, swallowed in soft gray. Outside, or what used to be outside, the streetlights continued to glow, distant and unreachable. The last thing she felt was a pressure against her shoulder. Gentle, guiding. And then the fog sealed shut around her building once more, smooth and undisturbed, as if no one had ever stood at the window at all.